B3rdPower here on Urban Style Media. I'm T Lynn Tate.
And I'm Sherri Cook.
And we are your gracious hosts for this next hour. But guess what?
Guess what?
We're not by ourselves.
Not
No,
tonight.
we are joined tonight by our lovely resident guest co-host, Miss Sonserria Coates.
Hello.
Hello, darling.
Nice to have you, beautiful. Look at your beautiful shirt.
I'm so glad to be here again.
Yes. That's she upgraded.
She,
yes, right
she
there.
did that.
Yeah.
That ain't no t-shirt, y'all.
We are so happy to have you join us again.
Yes.
It's great when you come by and visit with us. We got some great things going on. I can't wait to get into the show.
excited.
But before we do that,
I'm really
ladies,
excited.
are you ready to catch up?
Let's catch up.
Yes. So
Let's
how
catch
was
up.
your weekend? I think you had a power
Okay,
packed
you know
weekend.
my weekend is
Oh my
always
God.
crazy.
Yes. I looked, you was one place, then I saw you another place. I was like, do she ever sit still?
I know. My weekend was busy. I started out Saturday morning attending the Roundtable Community Brunch with Dr. Thornton.
Yes.
With Prince George's County Public Schools. And we had this, we have a roundtable discussion for the CTE programs currently going on in Prince George's County, where we're trying to just review things and make sure it's up to par for our students for, you know, the generation that we're in.
Right.
Right? Those career technical educational programs that they offer in the public school system. So we're kind of like reviewing that, critiquing it, all that good stuff, and taking some of our findings back to Dr. Thornton. So it was really nice to have him at the brunch. It was met some amazing people and people that sit on the board, and just know that we are making strides in Prince George's County. We do realize that we're bumping our head a lot of times.
Right.
And we do realize that we have tried to redo the whole thing over and over again, and it's just not working.
Right.
So I think Dr. Thornton is really on top of that, and he realizes that, and you know, we're trying to make it work.
Yeah, trying to get off the wheel.
Yeah, we're trying to get off that
and
wheel
start moving forward.
So I'm really excited because you know, once we realize that as a community that you know, public school is where it's at. We have to make sure that our states are doing right by our public school system, not the charter schools, not the private schools, but we have to make sure that we're doing right by our children in our public school settings.
Right.
Because that's where majority of our children and our future will graduate from. So I'm very passionate about our education with our young people. So that was really nice.
Yeah.
That was really nice.
So what did you do, Miss Lady?
Mine wasn't as interesting as yours, but I guess I could say it was fun. I hung out with the kids this weekend.
Okay.
I went to see The Lion King.
Okay.
It was good.
Yeah.
Not what I all expected, but it was good. It was good.
Okay.
I was going to say not what you expected, but it's like, isn't it literally a remake of the original one, but just in, you know, what is it called? CG? Is that what it's called? Where the type of filming that they did? Oh, come on now. Y'all know what I'm talking about. What is it? Because it's more lifelike, right?
It is.
Okay.
It is.
So I thought that was
The
the only
effects were
difference, but the same story.
Okay.
Is
Yeah,
that
well,
what it was?
the
or-
effects were great. They added some stuff. They took away some stuff.
Okay.
Some songs I thought I was going to finish singing.
Right.
They didn't finish
They
singing.
didn't finish.
And then some songs I was expecting to hear, I didn't hear. And then
Okay.
some stuff I wasn't expecting to hear, they actually added. But it was really nice. Overall, it was good. I'm sure the kids
Yeah.
will love it. It's not something that I would go back and see
I know
again
that's
and
right.
again and again.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know. Sometimes when you make those movies, it's like the first one is the best, and you just
and
can't.
should have left it
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah, you
Shoulda
just
left it
can't
alone.
do it again. Like number one is it, and that's it.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
And
I
Disney's
understand.
definitely famous for remaking or tagging on. So,
Yeah.
part one, part two,
Right.
part
Yes,
three.
and you know, it's funny because I think they're like on a roll right now with remakes because I recently saw on Netflix, now they have a remake for Mary Poppins. It might have been around for a while, but I just discovered it. But I was like, this is okay.
I haven't seen it.
But
I used to.
I
love
was,
Mary
like you said, I
Poppins,
was
though.
looking for what the original was.
Did they sing
because-
Supercalifragilistic
No.
in the remake?
No, because it says Mary Poppins, but it's like the continuation of the kids. The kids
Okay.
grew up and she came back for their kids type thing. So it
Well,
was some
even-
key songs
can't
that
have
just you
Mary
can't have
Poppins
without
without
Mary
saying
Poppins. You know,
Right.
songs. Exactly.
Yeah.
They're not even doing it with just Disney, because when we were at the Lion King, they actually showed previews for Cats. They're remaking it. And
Yes, they
Jennifer
are. I
Hudson
did
is
see
in
that.
it. It's going to be. I think it's going to be really good. It's going to
Yeah.
be based off the Broadway show. So.
And there are
I'm
some
looking
things
forward.
that they remake
Yeah.
that they're actually coming back
Yeah.
and it's better.
Absolutely.
But classics.
You know, my
just
all-time
gotta leave
favorite
alone.
is Woody.
Oh my goodness.
I love Woody. What is that? Toy
Toy
Story.
Story.
I love Toy Story.
They've
was the
done so many
best.
Toy
I love all the
Stories.
Toy
All of
Stories.
them
Yes.
are good.
And my other favorite is the animals when they're talking. Who are they? Zootopia? Not Zootopia.
A Pet's Life?
I think I know what I'm trying to.
They're in the zoo and they're in New York.
Oh, Madagascar.
Madagascar.
Yeah.
I love Madagascar.
Yeah, that was a good one. I like to move
Move
it.
it.
Okay, wait, we can't say too much of that.
Yes.
Well, I have to be honest. I took the weekend to do what we all talk about all the time and get a little self-care in.
Exactly.
I
That's
worked hard.
always good.
I always work hard on Fridays, but this Saturday I decided that I wasn't going nowhere.
Oh, that's right.
And I stayed in
and
the house
it was hot, so you didn't
all
miss
Yes.
nothing.
day long.
Yes.
I did. I stayed in the house. I relaxed. I put on my little relaxation spa music, and in my mind, I went to the spa. Even
No,
when
that's
people
right.
around was trying to talk to me, guess what? As a matter of fact, I got left home by myself for a little while because all of a sudden everybody had business.
Okay.
And that made my day.
That's even
know,
better.
that's
I was
right.
like, oh, you
Peace.
going where?
That's
Okay,
even better.
forgot my son was going to the circus. I was like, oh, bye, have a good one.
Yes.
And then everybody else went somewhere, and I just sat there and woosah for a
That's
moment.
but you know what? That's the best. You know, people talk a lot about staycations and oh no, I'm gonna get away. I'm gonna get away. There's nothing like just relaxing in your own house and just really having nothing to do, especially when you're busy like we are. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And to actually not do anything,
It's amazing.
it's a great feeling.
Yes, it
You
is.
know, it really is. It's a great feeling.
And you know what else I did? I fell in love with my Audibles all over again.
Okay.
Somehow or another, I forgot I had a bunch of credits on Audible.
Oh,
So I was
wow.
in there download. I was like, oh yeah, well I have that book. It's my favorite to read. But since I don't have time to finish reading it, I'll just get the Audible and just hear
Yeah.
the end of it. Yeah, I downloaded a few Audibles and
Awesome.
yeah. So when I say I had a great time, I had a great
All
time.
by myself.
Oh, by myself. But I still love you, babe. Babe, I still love you.
Still love you,
just
but I like
enjoy
my me time though.
moment. Yes, but we have a great topic to talk about tonight, ladies.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
I know you are.
I'm definitely looking forward.
Yes. We are talking, we're continuing. It seems like we've been on a roll with this holistic health thing. I'm enjoying it because
Yeah.
it's enlightening us in so many ways.
It
And
is,
so last week we had the Collective Health Initiative on. We got great things happening with them, so watch out, you guys.
Yes.
But in addition to that, now we're going to go to the other side tonight, and we're going to talk about how your mental health as an adult, your emotional and mental health is affected based on what you experienced as a child in your childhood, specifically growing up without your father.
So we're gonna have some aha moments tonight, cause I'm not ready.
Uh-oh. Well, we'll see what we're going to have. But we
I'm
hope
not
you
ready.
guys will stay with us. Make sure you're commenting. We'll have somebody check our comments so we know what you're asking us. But make sure you're tapping in. Let us know if you have questions, because guess what? It's going to be an open conversation tonight about your childhood and the effects of your childhood on your adult health. But before we jump into that, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back on the other side. This is B to the Third Power here on Urban Style Media. Coming up on an all-new episode of B to the Third Power. Join us as we sit down with author, speaker, coach Melanie Bonita, and she shares information on her new project, The Daily Dose of Declarations, for mental health and suicide awareness. You don't want to miss this episode, Monday, 7 p.m. on Urban Style Media. Calling all speakers. B to the Third Power is looking for impactful and innovative speakers, trainers, and business owners to take part in the B to the Third Power Speaker Series.
Beginning in March, we will feature and hear from a new speaker each month, highlighting their expertise. For more information, email us at B3rdPower@gmail.com. That's B3rdPower@gmail.com. Don't miss this opportunity to make your ripple effect in the global community. Elegant 3 Travels presents a summer escape. Join us as we set sail on a 7-night exotic Western Caribbean cruise, July 27th through August the 3rd, 2019, on the Carnival Conquest. Ports include the Grand Cayman Islands, Mahogany Bay, Belize, and Cozumel. For more information, contact Elegant 3 Travels at 240-816-0590. Reserve your suite today and don't miss this exotic Western Caribbean vacation. Global Executive Staffing provides top-level executive staffing to federal and private sector companies globally at the most competitive price. They are experts in coordinating and expediting projects from design to development. Global Executive Staffing is a Department of Veterans Affairs, Center for Veterans, certified service-disabled veteran-owned small business. To connect with Global Executive Staffing, go to www.gestaff.com.
Welcome back to B3rdPower here on Urban Style Media. We are just getting ready.
Just getting started.
Just getting ready to get into our juicy topic for this evening.
Yes.
And once again, we are being joined by our resident co-host, Miss Sonserria Coates. Why do I always do that? That's what happens when you know somebody pretty much
Because we
your
talk
whole...
about that daddy name.
There you go. There you go. So tonight we're going to be getting into the topic of growing up without your dad, how it affects your adult health, which is something major. And that is something that you, Sonserria, have been working hard at sharing your testimony and how it affected you so that you can now go back and grab others who are growing up without a father, because unfortunately it's more common than we want to admit sometimes. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about how it affected you.
My father left when I was 10. And I guess for me, it was more traumafying because it was another woman involved. I knew of the other woman before my mother did. And, I was the one that actually had to tell my mother about her. So I think that kind of affected me and my father's relationship to a point where he didn't really understand or know how to deal with me after that. So I almost, as a child, felt like it was my fault for the breakup. But at the same time, I was a child. And I also felt like somewhere in the back of my mind, it shouldn't have been happening anyway. And at the same time, you still have to be a parent. But it caused me to grow up without my dad. I grew up in a single family home. It affected a lot of things with me. It gave me a lot of fear. It gave me a lot of trust issues. It gave me a lot of heartache. It gave me a lot of, I guess I would say, mental health issues, because the way I deal with people, the way I look at people, the type of men that I chose for not just one marriage, but 2 marriages, the type of relationships I got involved with, friends, etc., associates, whatever, even in how I deal with my children, especially my sons. I'm really, really hard on them because I'm just so determined that they won't turn out like my father, and they'll be the men that God called them to be. So it's just so important to me. And they all feel like I'm just so, on them. But, I'm hard on my daughters, but I'm more hard on my sons, because you see so many boys that don't have that male role model. And I can't be a man and I can't be a father to them, but I can show them what not to be. I can talk to them about what not to be, and I can share my experience with them and talk to them about the things that I've gone through to make them not want to be, that man.
Right.
So.
Now, what about you, Miss Sherri?
Well, what's the question?
I mean, like, you grew up also without your dad. How did that affect you?
To be honest, I did not miss my father because I had a very strong grandfather. And my grandfather was around every day of my life. So I really didn't have the opportunity to miss him until my grandfather passed away. And when he passed away, I was about 24, and I did begin to miss that male figure in my life that I had always had. And and I just became curious. After I met him, I realized that maybe it was for the best. I wasn't really sure. I'm still not even sure now because I didn't meet my father until I was 35.
Wow.
So I'm 44 now. So I've known him for about 7 years. I'm really close to my brother because he had a son. And the crazy thing is that my father I have another brother who was born the same day as me, 10 years later.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I do know my brothers, but I'm very close to one of them in particular. And it's funny because I think by me having that male figure, it kind of substituted, and and I always came from a very strong, resilient family with my grandmother, and my grandmother, my uncle is adopted. So it was almost like you had this family of love, so you really didn't miss out on a lot, you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's different. Sometimes I challenge myself now to really be honest with myself and think, like, were you missing him? Were you responding to different things because you didn't have him? So, I'm still learning, that whole thing, because like I said, it's only been 7 years where I've really even have really been associated with him. So, I don't know.
Interesting.
That's why I said in the beginning of the show, will I have some aha moments? Because I really don't know, it's nothing that I've really...
Right, because you didn't feel like you lacked
I didn't feel like I lacked. I didn't feel like I missed out because I had him, my grandfather. But to be honest, I do need to pay attention to that. Did I suppress some things because I didn't know him, but I don't know.
Good.
So,
Yeah. Well, my dad he was there and accessible, but during my childhood when I was with my dad worked in the coal mines. So literally he would be gone 6 o'clock in the morning before I was even up. And by the time he came home in the evening, it would be late in the evening, and he was on his way back out the door to church or something. So we had a relationship to a degree, but he too had married and gone on and married and had another family there too. So what I do know is that it does affect you for years. I had a stepfather in the home too, but he didn't really replace what I was looking for in my dad. You know what I mean? Or what I wanted from my dad. And it does. It causes you to have issues. Sometimes it feels like abandonment issues because as a child, we're not able to fully digest all that is happening, right? So we have one perspective, and usually it's the part where we don't know all the rest that went on. For instance, children today whose parents don't get along, and so because they don't get along, even though the other parent may or may not want to be involved, because they can't talk to each other or deal with each other, it makes it hard to help with the child. Like, because depending on the age of the child, you have to go through the other parent most of the time to get to the child.
Right.
So if that relationship is volatile, then how are you going to communicate? But as a child, being that child, you don't necessarily know all that goes on in the background. So you could be literally thinking, and because I know that there are some great dads out here, right? But I also know that when the relationship is toxic, then they usually, if they have to go through that person to get to you, some fight hard, and some step back and say, well,
Never mind.
Yeah.
But as a child, you don't know whether they fought or not. You don't know whether your mother was like, listen, don't call my house no more.
Right.
So it's kind of hard, but for me, my stepdad, he did okay. He did okay. I wasn't probably the easiest because I knew my dad. and I wanted my dad.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but it still affected me. So I can only imagine, like you said, it shaped who you became friends with.
Absolutely.
You know, and who you went on to be in relationships with.
And then you went from having him every day to not having him at all. So I can imagine that must have been a shift that, at 10, 11, 12, that you have to get used to. And then, like you said, you carried the burden of thinking that it was your fault. I think it's really sad that adults put so much on children like that. You know what I mean? I totally understand as an adult now that we're still growing as well. Right. And we still make mistakes as well.
Yes.
I understand that as an adult now. But it's just, it's selfish that when you place a lot of that onto your children.
Right.
So I can imagine that must have been definitely something difficult for you to hold on to.
Oh, yeah.
And what I love is that we have two different perspectives on the not having your father there at all. Like, that's two different perspectives, because you were like, I didn't miss him at all because I had someone that stepped in and made it so that there was no void. Yeah. And you felt the void. So emotionally, let's talk about what that looked like. For you, what did it look like emotionally, not with your dad leaving?
I guess because I had a lot of strong women in my family, it kind of molded me into this strong person, where I kind of felt like I can do everything myself. I don't need nobody to do anything for me. And, that's how I saw my mother. I saw my mother go through this transition of, I don't need anybody. And then even when I was talking about dating and getting married, she was like, you don't need no man. You can do it yourself. I grew up around that. So for me, it was like, can I do it myself? Or is she just mad? Right. Is she just bitter from the relationship being over? Yeah. Or am I going to go through the same thing? Right. I just didn't know. I just didn't know. And then, like you said, to see the parent marry somebody else, and then you have the siblings. Even now, I see my stepbrother and my stepsister. I see them on Facebook all the time. And for me, it's the hardest thing because I'm the firstborn child,
It's okay.
I'm the firstborn child. It's me and my sister. And then I have a stepbrother and a stepsister. And it looks like they get everything. It's like, oh, the best dad, car shopping with dad. She has a baby, and like you said, the same age. So I have a grandson that's 1. And when my 23-year-old daughter was pregnant, my sister was pregnant at the same time. So their babies are a month apart. And we don't get invited to things, and I just have to watch this whole other family with my dad. And it's like, why did you choose them? Why did you choose them over me? It's like, hey, I'm here, and then I'm like, I have all of these kids that don't even know their grandfather. And it's hard emotionally because my kids always ask, about him. They know their other grandparents, and, the older ones are now like, whatever. But still the younger ones are like, well, what about granddad? Or, and then they see on social media too. Right. So it's hard for them,
that might mean that, at some point, unfriending is a blessing. Yeah. Because if it's starting to affect you and the children, to see them doing those things, then it will be family, but we might just need to unfriend you, because now you're causing a lot of generational issues in my life with my children. My children are looking, they're seeing, and even if they don't feel the same type of void, they'll begin to pick up on what you carry. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? And even if you don't make it obvious, but they know that it's there. Yeah. And so then they'll begin to carry that on. That means that we need to now unfriend y'all. Yeah. Since we don't get invited no way, ain't no point in us being friends anyhow.
And
okay?
I guess I'm kind of like, who is not inviting. You know, I look at my stepbrother and my stepsister, and I feel like to a degree my sister tries to have a somewhat of a relationship, but it's not like you're really trying. You're like kind of trying, and it's then I have to look at it like it's not their fault. They were kids. You know, they were born into the situation, so I kind of don't want to hold it against them.
We unfriending everybody. Yeah.
But you know, again,
peace is called
you gotta
peace.
watch it.
Like, I need, that's all I need. And it's not anything to be against you. Like I said, when we get invited, we'll get invited. And, you know, and when we don't, we don't. But it's just the peace. Like, I couldn't have y'all or dad or whoever, and then my baby seeing, you know, some things. No, because, see, I got to raise them differently.
Right.
See, we got to do things differently. So I don't even need that right now. Like, no. And I think with, like you, having a mom and that was so strong, I had the best of both worlds. So I was raised by a single mother, but I had my grandparents who were married. So I saw what it was to be in a relationship, and you have your arguments and you stick in there anyway, right? And you just push through the relationship anyway. I don't like you neither, but guess what? We gonna work this thing out.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I know what it means to sacrifice to have that relationship, but I also know what it means to sacrifice to be a strong woman. And I say to everybody all the time that if it was left up to my single mother, I'd be a single woman. Because, see, she didn't even have the balance to be able to teach me how to have a relationship. And no matter how much she would want to be in a relationship, she still didn't have the balance to be able to say, okay, listen, like, good guy, work it out, you guys. You know what I mean? Because she doesn't know. All she knows is her experience. And right now she knows that she's been the soldier, the mom, the dad. She's been everything, and she's not, you know, bending for nobody. Right? And if I took on that same I would do the same thing, and I would be blocking everything that came my way. And I was like, no, I don't want to be like that. I remember my grandmother, like, to a certain point, she was submissive, but to a certain point, she was still that strong Nana. Right. You know what I mean? And I remember seeing that. Like, okay, I can still be strong, but I can still cook for my husband. You know what I mean?
That's good.
I can still do that, and he can still do the same for me. Like, you know, so you know, it's just about having that balance there. And I just knew that I just wanted to do that differently with Brittany and Brandon. And so, like I was saying, if it was anything, mom, dad, grandmother, whoever, causing me any type of still anxiety as I grew up, I had to cut it. Right. I had to cut it because I needed to do different with them. Right. You know what I mean? And I wanted them to see different, and I wanted them to realize that it was more out there than just our little family circle. Right. Right? And so I had to cut certain things. And when they finally did meet my dad, of course, they were older, they were teenagers. But, you know, I sat down and explained to them. I was like, listen, you know, like, and this is what happens when adults are adulting. Yeah.
Now you said something that I do want to catch, but we do have to take a quick break.
We do.
But when we come back, something you mentioned just now in all that you just said was how taking on your mom's fears. And it's so funny how that's what sometimes, or a lot of times, ends up happening with us, is that when we do grow up with single parents, that their fears, you see it all the time, their fears are projected onto the child.
And not even on purpose.
Right. But their fear or their hurt, their anger translates to you, and you end up carrying. And the good thing, like I said, we're going to take a quick break though, but the good thing is, it's like that green or what is the red or blue pill? Which one are you going to take? Are you going to follow in that or not? But we're going to discuss that more when we come back. We do have to take a quick break, but stay tuned. We're going to continue our conversation on how your childhood affects your adulthood, your mental health, and emotional health as an adult. But this is B to the Third Power here on Urban Style Media. Come on right back after this quick break.
And healthy snacks.
Coming up of B to the Third Power. Join us as we sit down with author, speaker, coach Melanie Bonita, and she shares information on her new project, The Daily Dose of Declarations, for mental health and suicide awareness. You don't want to miss this episode, Monday, 7 p.m. on Urban Style Media. Calling all speakers. B3rdPower is looking for impactful and innovative speakers, trainers, and business owners to take part in the B3rdPower Speaker Series. Beginning in March, we will feature and hear from a new speaker each month, highlighting their expertise. For more information, email us at B3rdPower@gmail.com. That's B3rdPower@gmail.com. Don't miss this opportunity to make your ripple effect in the global community. Elegant 3 Travels presents a summer escape. Join us as we set sail on a 7-night exotic Western Caribbean cruise, July 27th through August the 3rd, 2019, on the Carnival Conquest. Ports include the Grand Cayman Islands, Mahogany Bay, Belize, and Cozumel. For more information, contact Elegant 3 Travels at 240-816-0590. Reserve your suite today and don't miss this exotic Western Caribbean vacation. Global Executive Staffing provides top-level executive staffing to federal and private sector companies globally at the most competitive price. They are experts in coordinating and expediting projects from design to development. Global Executive Staffing is a Department of Veterans Affairs, Center for Veterans, certified service-disabled veteran-owned small business. To connect with Global Executive Staffing, go to www.gestaff.com.
My name is Denzel Bennett, CEO of Urban Style Media. I started this entity to give nonprofits, small businesses, an opportunity to display their gift in giving people the ability to live their dream. People that wanted to make a difference in the community oftentimes didn't have a platform, whatever's in their heart, or whatever they want to do from a media standpoint, in terms of directors, producers, musicians. We want to allow everyone to have a conduit to display their craft. Currently we have 7 shows. The collaboration aspect of our platform is expanding every day. We encourage people to go for their dreams. And so in order to feed the community, we need to expand our base. And expanding our base, we want to allow more people to have an opportunity to come on air to talk about their initiatives. We've been open approximately 5 months. And in that time span, people have shown up willing to serve. It's been beyond my wildest expectations. The people that have shown up have been dedicated, have gone beyond and above the call of duty. We're going to continue to pursue community objectives and initiatives. We want to be a staple in the community. Our slogan is, Imagine Us. So imagine us being there for you and your dreams to help us serve the community in the best way possible from a media standpoint.
Welcome back to B3rdPower here on Urban Style Media. We are continuing our conversation tonight on how our childhoods and growing up without a father has been affecting or has affected our adult holistic health. That's our emotional and mental health. And one of the things we wanted to continue with was just right before the break, Sherri had made a statement about how her mom's fears and how if she were to rely on her mom's reactions, fears, thoughts, and opinions to shape her own, had she not had her nana and her grandfather, would have made her be a single individual just in general and not even give relationships a chance. And so it's interesting how that happens. And we as kids don't even realize that it's happening to us. You know, where their fears are being projected on us and we don't understand why they are the way they are until we get older. Because most of the time we worship our parents. Let's just be honest, especially our moms. I mean, like, your mom is like in most cases the superhero,
She
honestly,
is.
you know.
Yeah.
And so you live and breathe based on what comes out of her mouth or her opinion. And then you grow up and you say, oh, wait a minute, there was some things that tainted that, and you know, you was a little off there, mommy. You know,
Yep.
you're like, I love you, but that's a little
Yeah.
off. I got to go a different way. But you do have a choice, and so it's interesting because you get a gravitational pull, and you chose to do the opposite, of her.
Yes.
But there are many who fall right in line, and I think most of those are people who don't even realize that there's
And you don't
alternate
realize
choice.
it because, like you said, mom is everything.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like she's everything. She's so strong and she's so pretty and
Right.
you know, like she's everything. So, but like I said, I thank God that I had that balance because I was able to see things a little bit differently,
Right.
and have the opportunity to see things differently. So, you know, a lot of times I would even say, like, why are you so worried about it? Like, why are you stressing about it?
Right.
You know what I mean? But sometimes you can't change those things about, you know, being a single mom.
Right.
So, but yeah, I can't imagine, you know, but with Sonserria's situation, I don't even know how it would respond. You know what I mean? Because it's so different. But I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, it in all honesty, I understand. It was hard for me. Like, even though she was there for most of the years that I could remember, you know, it's like I don't remember my parents being together because I was so young when they separated. But for me, it was hurtful to go to the house and see my dad with this whole other family. And even though years later in conversation with my dad, because I think it took me to graduate from high school before I actually was honest with my dad about how I felt, because I would still see him. But when I turned 18, I literally had a come to Jesus moment with my dad. And my relationship with him has significantly changed since that moment, because I was honest about how I felt like he chose them over me. And I just had to air out. A lot of people thought I was wrong. I thought I was wrong and felt like I was being disrespectful to my dad. But I now understand that no, I was not, and I shouldn't feel guilty because I was communicating to my father how
you felt.
I felt and how growing up in a blended household with him and the new family, how it made me feel.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, had I not said anything, we would have kept drifting, and I don't think my dad and I would be talking the way we do now. Like, he's close to being my best friend. I can talk to my dad about anything. I can feel comfortable. I talk to my mom about anything, but I can also pick up the phone and call and talk to my dad about literally anything. And he loves me. He gives me advice, and we keep it moving. So my relationship is so much better. But it was hard because, like I said, I felt abandoned. I felt unchosen. I felt unworthy. Why did you choose them over me? Why did you, why did you leave me? He didn't leave me, but it felt that way, And then when I moved here with my mom, it was like, man. Then I went from seeing my dad every other weekend and sometimes during the week to not seeing my dad at all until maybe the summer. Maybe the summer. That was big.
This brings up a lot because now I'm sitting here thinking about Brittany and Brandon because they had him around, he did the every other weekend thing. That was his thing. I think was a great dad. I think he was a great guy. I would never take that away from him. I think he could have done a whole lot better.
Right.
He definitely could have done a whole lot better. But it just makes me think because I remember he got married when they were about 7. And I used to always say to him, it's very important that you build a relationship with your children because she had a child. And all they see as children is that you're at this house every night with this
other
little child
child.
every night. And they don't understand that. And I don't think we've talked about it now since they've been older, because they're 21 now. And maybe we need to have some conversations, some real honest conversations, because now they have two younger brothers who are like 5 and 4.
Right.
So hopefully, we'll be able to have a real conversation about this,
Right.
so that we can see, so that I can see how they've been affected, because it may have, seeing him with, that whole other family.
Right.
And I know that was one of the things that I always said to him was, I don't care what happens between me and you, my mother, your mother, I don't care. Whatever you do, your wife, whoever, you have to keep a relationship
With your babies.
with your babies. And so I'm not really sure how that,
How that really affected them.
yeah.
And it's crucial conversations, honestly,
Yeah.
because if you don't address it, it just keeps festering.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it doesn't just end just because, whoop, I'm 18 or I'm 19 or I'm an adult now, and so I don't have to care about whether my dad was there. No, that's foolishness, because the reality is it's still affecting you.
Yep.
So for you, Sonserria, were you able to reconcile with your dad, or have you guys ever tried to reconcile?
We have. I would say he has. I wish I could have went to my dad like you said you did, and gave him a piece of my mind, because I've wanted to do it for 41 years. But it's just something, every time I say I'm going to do it, it's just like, I don't even care. Just forget it.
Yeah.
If I'm not that important, then whatever. And then last year, Thanksgiving, he actually reached out to me. And when he called my phone, I didn't even know the number. I don't even know how he got my number. And I answered the phone, and he's like, hey. And I'm like, who is this? I didn't even recognize his voice. And he's like, this is your dad. And I'm like, who? And I think it kind of made him feel bad.
Okay.
I could tell, it was kind of like a standoffish type of conversation after that. But he did tell me that he wanted to apologize to me, for not being around. He wanted me to know it wasn't my fault. And he wants to do better. He do want to see his grandkids. And that's been like a little over a year ago. But my thing is, since then, the relationship has still been the same. Since you said you apologized, I guess that made him feel some sense of freedom, because he said it. But until you actually do it, it really doesn't matter, because you still haven't taken any type of steps towards reconciliation, I guess. And for me, even that, I told him on the phone, I said, I've been waiting for over 30 years to hear you apologize. I did tell him that, but I didn't really go into how it made me feel.
Right.
And I could tell it hurt him. I did get to speak to my stepmother. She also got on the phone and said, my dad felt really bad. He wants to see his grandkids. We're getting older now, so I don't know if getting older is making them feel some type of way.
Right.
And now they're like, maybe we need to start seeing the kids. But again, it hasn't been anything since then, any communication.
Now, have you tried to reach out to him, or you just waited to see whether he would follow up in action?
I did. I waited to see if he would follow up, and he didn't. And it kind of made me feel like you weren't that serious, or it wasn't that important. So,
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
So just like you just said, that there are times when I wanted to say something, but I chose not to because I felt like it wasn't important. Or I felt like I wasn't important, right? The audacity of him to feel like that now I can come to you after 40 years and say I'm sorry, and then continue the same behavior.
Yeah.
You see, people say what they want to say, right? People, and they can have all the nerve in the world, right? But he said it. He said, I'm sorry, right? He said he apologized, supposedly to get it off of his chest, to make himself feel better. The audacity of you, right? But you are still that captive child that's holding in your feelings because you're really not sure if you're worth it to say something to him.
Yeah.
But he had the nerve to say something to you. So why can't you have the nerve to say something to him?
That's good.
It doesn't have to be disrespectful. I would never say be disrespectful, because even in that, in my dynamic, I'm never going to be disrespectful.
Right.
You know what I mean? To those that are to those that treat their parents and with respect are long days, right? Isn't that what the Bible says? I'm never going to be disrespectful to you. But guess what? If you feel like you can pick up the phone and call me, and then you have the nerve to let the wife get on the phone and say whatever she needs to say to me, and then your actions still don't change, then why am I still holding on to the things that I really feel like I need to say? Shouldn't I be able to say that to him and say how hurt I am and how it made me feel and how I felt abandoned and how I felt like all of this was on me? Shouldn't I have my 20 minutes?
Yep. But we're gonna take a quick break right here for just a second, because this is getting good. But when we come back, we're gonna discuss exactly how you can express how you feel to your dad to be able to release your side, and we'll talk about starting the process of forgiveness for yourself and for him, so that you can move on. But I hope you join us. Come on right back. We'll be right back on the other side of this break. This is B to the Third Power here on Urban Style Media.
An all new episode to the Third Power. Join us as we sit down with author, speaker, coach Melanie Bonita, and she shares information on her new project, The Daily Dose of Declarations, for mental health and suicide awareness. You don't want to miss this episode, Monday, 7 p.m. on Urban Style Media. Calling all speakers. B to the Third Power is looking for impactful and innovative speakers, trainers, and business owners to take part in the B to the Third Power Speaker Series. Beginning in March, we will feature and hear from a new speaker each month, highlighting their expertise. For more information, email us at B3rdPower@gmail.com. That's B3rdPower@gmail.com. Don't miss this opportunity to make your ripple effect in the global community. Elegant 3 Travels presents A Summer Escape. Join us as we set sail on a 7-night exotic Western Caribbean cruise, July 27th through August the 3rd, 2019, on the Carnival Conquest. Ports include the Grand Cayman Islands, Mahogany Bay, Belize, and Cozumel. For more information, contact Elegant 3 Travels at 240-816-0590. Reserve your suite today and don't miss this exotic Western Caribbean vacation. Global Executive Staffing provides top-level executive staffing to federal and private sector companies globally at the most competitive price. They are experts in coordinating and expediting projects from design to development. Global Executive Staffing is a Department of Veterans Affairs, Center for Veterans, certified service-disabled veteran-owned small business. To connect with Global Executive Staffing, go to www.gestaff.com.
Welcome back to B to the Third Power here on Urban Style Media. We are continuing our conversation about how our childhood affects our adulthood mentally and emotionally, specifically talking about growing up without your fathers. So before we took a break, we talked about the fact that your dad reached out to you. He got his opportunity to ask for forgiveness, but you haven't really seen any action afterwards. And not only that, but you don't feel it's worthy enough for you to say how you feel and or how exactly to go about it, because you said you thought about giving him a piece of your mind.
Yeah, numerous times.
So let's talk about a solution for that, because I know for me, one thing that I am good at is writing. Back then, I'm a little more, not necessarily in your face, but I'll talk to you more and address my issue more to you now face to face than I would have back then. But the thing that helped me, and I feel like because your parents are such a sensitive matter, you know what I mean? When you've been hurt by a parent, it's very sensitive and it's very much a vulnerable area in your life. And so some things that we want to go forward and do, we don't. Out of fear and out of having that, well, they already don't like me. If I say this, they're not going to love me, that it's going to really change how they feel about you. So one thing that helped me out was when I said I had a conversation with him, I did, but I did it through a letter. I sat down, and I often encourage my clients who have people that they need to address and just are not ready to do it face to face yet. A letter is one of the most greatest things you can ever do. Here's why. Because when you sit down to write your letter, one, I say the first draft, because you're going to do multiple drafts here, okay? The first draft, you let it all out. You let it all out. I mean, all the stinking, filthy emotions,
That's the one I need to send.
all the not so nice wording that you want to use. You let that raw emotion out in your first draft. And then once you get it all out, then you go back and you read it. And from there, you'll be able to start to take away the excess emotion, to really stick to what you really want to say. You know what I mean? Because the problem is that when we talk to people face to face, while it's great, you got to know the environment and the audience that you're about to address.
Right.
You with me? Because what happens is you already know that you're getting ready to go sit down and talk to somebody that does not know how to pay attention and is always not actively listening, but rather defensively listening. Then you know that's a person that you have to step lightly when you're talking to them, because it'll easily get flipped back on you because they're not even listening to what you're saying.
That's
Right? But if you sit down and you write that letter, it gives you the opportunity to really get all the raw emotions out, and it gives you an opportunity for you to really go back, read what you said the first time, and edit out what's not important.
And not allow that person to distract you.
There you go.
Because that person, when they're sitting in their defense,
Yes.
when they throw up back something, right, it'll totally throw your whole thought
Yes,
pattern off.
exactly. And before you know it, you're arguing or you're going back and forth about something that doesn't even matter. Right?
The main point.
But when you sat down to write that letter and you said you used the when you did this made me feel like this, you're literally addressing that person and letting them know how they made you feel. You know, and then if you feel so kindly, then you can offer them, but I forgive you. Because what happens is when most of the reason why when we're walking around and our childhood is still affecting us is because we're holding on to unforgiveness. And it makes us mad when you see them on social media or you see them out and it looks like their life is great. And you feel like you're still suffering, and it's because you haven't let it go. You're still allowing it to have power over you and control your emotions. So for you, my recommendation, the wholeness coach recommends to you today, write the letter. Sit down and write them a letter. Because you deserve to be free.
You do.
And with the awesome things that you're about to have going on, you want to let it go. Because there are other people that you are about to reach back and grab
And
to
those
help them
people
come
need
through this.
all of Sonserria.
Yes.
They need all of you, and it's going to be hard if you're still holding on to some of those things. And I'm not saying that you're holding on to them on purpose, and because it's just so much a part of you. You know what I mean? And it's hard to let go of those feelings and forgive. You know, and I believe that writing process will definitely help. But I definitely would like to see you have that one-on-one conversation too, because emotion and raw feeling is everything.
Right. And I was getting ready to say, even if you write the letter first and the face-to-face, because I had to have don't let the smooth taste fool you. I wrote the letter, and then I had to deal with face-to-face what I had written and how I had said I had felt. He's like, oh, I didn't know you felt that way. but why did you feel that way? That's not how it was.
Right.
And then we had the dialogue about it.
That's right.
One of the most uncomfortable times in my life. But guess what? It started a conversation, right? It started a conversation. So we want to make sure, for those of you who are out there who are still dealing with the hurt of it may not have even been your father. Maybe it was your mother, because real talk, there are moms that are missing too. Yeah. Whichever parent it is. This case, it happened to be dad's. But even if it's your mom, find a way, whether it's written, whether it's a conversation, you got to know your audience. And even if you write the letter and it doesn't go anywhere, guess what you did? You were able to get it out, and process it. Even if you don't send it, if you were able to get it out and process it, I promise you, it'll do you a world of good.
And that forgiveness is just such a weight on you.
It is.
When you haven't forgiven, and when you haven't forgiven, it begins to fester in your spirit.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I definitely encourage it. I know that you're a strong woman, so I know that there are parts of you that we all have to work on.
Exactly.
We all have. And
But I'm excited because you have a major event for people who are going through this very thing. Because I know you're going to have an even greater testimony than what you were going to share.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have an even greater testimony when you get to that day. But what do we have coming up in the fall? Come on now. You got to tease it.
Let me get my phone, because I'm going to need to be there.
Before we get ready to go off the air, you got to tease it. What is it that you got going on this fall?
Crazy, because this project has really been 2 years in the making.
Okay.
2 years in the making, and it's finally come to fruition, let me say. The Daddyless Girl.
Come on now.
Okay.
We're gonna we have an upcoming event in the fall, and I'm really looking forward. It's gonna be a huge release for a lot of people. It's gonna be a huge release for me. I think that's gonna be the starting point of moving forward and moving past this whole thing. And like you said, reaching back to help other people and pull them out of it, out of the fear, out of the anxiety, out of the trust issues, out of the abandonment, out of the lack of love, all of that.
Because we only touched the tip of that today.
Oh, yeah.
Just the tip.
Do you have a date?
Not yet. We didn't put it out yet.
Okay.
But it's definitely coming.
October. We're just waiting for the date. October.
Okay.
So save the date, October. I know I didn't give you a specific date, but just know, keep looking out. In October, there is a conference, a meeting place coming where we will be. Did I say we? I guess we'll be there to support Daddyless Girls.
Daddyless Girls. Yes.
So excited for you. But it has been a marvelous time chatting with you today.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you came.
Yes, yes.
And we had an awesome conversation, and that's what I love about B3rdPower is that we bring real conversation, real talk.
Amen.
Right.
And we tell you guys all the time that empowering you, motivating you, motivates us, because none of us up here, all of us up here, we're daddyless. Right, but see what we're doing, see where we're going. We're still pushing, because you have to keep pushing in life, no matter what. The resiliency that you have, that we have, is what we're trying to continue to pour into the community and the women that we come in contact with. It's that bounce back. It's that, what are you doing to push through? So I appreciate you guys for watching today. If you have any questions or you want to get in touch with Sonserria, make sure that you hit us up. If you can give them your information real quick before we go off.
Facebook, I'm Sonserria Coates. On Instagram, it's @living4purpose, LIVN4purpose.
That's right. Awesome. So, as we always say, remember today is a great day to make a difference in the lives of those around you. I'm T Lynn Tate.
And I'm Sherri Cook.
And you are
Sonserria Coates.
And this has been B3rdPower here on Urban Style Media. Y'all have a great week.
Great.
Coming up, an all-new episode of B3rdPower. Join us as we sit down with author, speaker, coach Melanie Bonita, and she shares information on her new project, The Daily Dose of Declarations, for mental health and suicide awareness. You don't want to miss this episode, Monday, 7 p.m. on Urban Style Media.